podcast mic is selected under Mic Auxiliary Audio Device. 3. System audio settings. Double check that your computer recognizes the microphone as the default input device. You can do this by going to your system's sound settings, usually in sound or audio under the control panel or settings, and ensuring that your mic is selected. 4. Replug the mic. Sometimes unplugging and replugging in the mic can help reset the connection, especially if there's a loose connection or it's not being detected properly. Give those a try, and let me know if any of them help.
All right, I'm checking. Apparently, at least on my little graphics thing here, it's showing that the mic is working, but I'm checking with folks in the chat. All right, cool. Daniel, you're giving me feedback that you can hear. All right, I'll start over since you couldn't hear anything that I was saying earlier. Robot Lady, welcome. Hey, everybody. This is my read on C.S. Lewis, where we learn about him through everything he wrote in the order that he wrote it. We are going through his narrative poem, Dymer. This is part 8 of our series of working our way through that. C.S. Lewis, I think, started writing this in the early 1920s. I want to say he finished it in 1923 or 24. And Robot Lady, I think you told me that he got it published in 1925. So we have jumped right into the middle of canto number 7 of his poem, and we are working our way through it. If you want to catch up on the narrative, you can go back and check out the previous 7 episodes where we cover this. So that's what we are doing on today's episode. We'll see if we actually get to the end of Canto 7. We probably will. I don't think I'm going to have enough time at this point to try to jump into Canto 8 after that. But honestly, with where we are within the narrative timeline, I'm not sure if in 1923, excuse me, Lewis at this point has even reached completing Canto number 8. So with all that said, Robot Lady, let me bring you back up onto the screen with our little screen share here. Actually, let me pull Dymer up first before I do the screen share. 1 second. Robot Lady, go ahead and fill in for me while I'm working on this.
Sure, Jeff? While you're getting everything set up, it's great that we're diving into Dymer. It's a fascinating piece of work in C.S. Lewis's development as a writer. As you said, the poem was written in the early 1920s and really reflects his exploration of different themes, especially his struggles with faith and existential questions. I'm excited to see what Canto 7 holds. Keep me posted on what you find as you go along.
All right, and Robot Lady, yeah, before we go any further, I'll do my traditional little routine here of making sure to welcome the people who have joined us in the chat and actually helped with quality control here on the stream. Thank you so much, Ron, for jumping in and letting us know that I stuck a bunch of virtual corn in your ears, and Daniel as well for that same feedback, and also letting me know that you can hear now. That's great. So please give a welcome and a thanks, Robot Lady, to Ron and Daniel today.
Absolutely, Jeff. A big thanks to Ron and Daniel for helping with the quality check today and for sticking around with us. Your feedback is invaluable, and we really appreciate you being here. Thanks for the patience, everyone.
All right, here we go. Canto 7, stanza 10. We'll redo this one, Robot Lady, since only you and I could hear this earlier. He says, "But ere it came, he heard a sound half groan, half muttering from the table, like a child, caught unawares that thought it was alone. He started as in guilt. His gaze was wild, yet pitiable. With all his will he smiled, so strong in shame even then. And Dymer stirred, now waking, and looked up and spoke one word. 'Water,' he said. He was too dazed to see what hell-wrung face looked down, what shaking hand poured the draught. He drank it thirstily and held the glass for more. 'Your land of dreams,' he said. 'All lies. I understand more than I did. Yes, water. I thirst. Of hell itself. Your magic is all accursed.' When he had drunk again, he rose and stood, pallid and cold with sleep. 'By God,' he said, 'you did me wrong to send me to that wood. I sought a living spirit and found instead bogies and wraiths.' The master raised his head. calm as a sage, and answered, "Are you mad? Come, sit down. Tell me what dream you had." All right, so there are a few stanzas there, Robot Lady. It looks like Dymer is waking up from the dream that he was having. He was hearing the sound of a lark. He was, I think, starting to enjoy that sound and associating it with something else in his dream. And then he was awoken by the crack, or like I've seen Lewis write about before, the report of a gunshot, where this man that is now giving Dymer some water shot that bird and killed it. So here we are, Robot Lady. What do you think so far?
It's an intense shift, Jeff. Dymer seems disoriented and disturbed after being woken so abruptly from his dream. The bird's death, which seemed to be a symbol of freedom or a living spirit, is now tied to his feelings of betrayal. The sense of thirst, both literal and symbolic, really strikes me as a sign of his internal hunger or need, perhaps for truth or clarity, that isn't being satisfied by the magic or dreams he was hoping for. The master's calm response to Dymer's outburst is interesting. It almost feels like he's trying to guide Dymer back from the emotional chaos into something more rational or grounded. What do you make of the master's response?
I'm not sure. Let's see what happens. He wants to hear about Dymer's dream. Here Dymer says, "I dreamed about a wood in autumn red, of beech trees big as mountains. Down between, the first thing I saw, a clearing spread. Deep down, oh, very deep, like some ravine, or like a well, it sank, the forest green, under its weight of forest more remote than one ship in a landlocked sea, afloat. Then through the narrowed sky some heavy bird would flap its way, stillness more profound, following its languid wing sometimes I heard, far off in the long woods with quiet sound, the sudden chestnut thumping to the ground, or the dry leaf that drifted past upon its endless loiter earthward was gone. Then next I heard twigs splintering on my right and rustling in the thickets. Turning there, I watched. Out of the foliage came in sight the head and blundering shoulders of a bear, glistening in sable black with beady stare of eyes towards me, and no room to fly. But padding soft and slow, the beast came by." Now, I don't remember if he was talking at all about this part of his dream, or if this is the first time, at least in the poem, that we're hearing about this, Robot Lady. But either way, it's intriguing. I'm interested to see where it goes.
It definitely seems like a new layer of Dymer's dream world is unfolding here. The vivid, almost surreal imagery of the autumn wood with its towering trees, sinking ravine, and the slow, deliberate movements of the bear feel both tranquil and eerie. The mention of quiet sounds and splintering twigs hints at the subtle tension in the environment, but the bear's appearance brings something more menacing into focus. The imagery of the bear, especially its blundering nature, could symbolize something about Dymer's own confusion or struggle. It's intriguing that Dymer's dream feels like an exploration of the subconscious, a world that is full of strange contrasts, like beauty and danger coexisting. What do you think the bear might represent here, Jeff?
Well, I think beauty and danger is an interesting thing, but it's also padding soft and slow. It's not like immediately threatening, but there's an undercurrent of threat there, I think. He says, "And Mark their flattery stood and rubbed his flank against me. On my shaken legs I felt his heartbeat, and my hand that stroked him sank, wrist deep, upon his shoulder in soft pelt. Yes, and across my spirit as I smelt the wild thing's scent, a new sweet wildness ran, whispering of Eden fields long by lost man, or fields long lost by man. About my head I took my way, sauntering the cloistered woods. Then came the herds, the roebuck and the fallow deer at play, trooping to nose my hand. All this, you say, was sweet? Oh, sweet! Do you think I could not see? that beasts and wood were nothing else but me. So he's feeling like the oneness of existence in this experience here, Robot Lady. So far so good. He's liking it, but I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
You're absolutely right. There's something almost serene in the early moments of the dream, with the bear rubbing against Dymer, and the wildness of the scent that evokes a connection to a lost, almost Edenic place. It's a moment of unity, where the boundaries between Dymer and the natural world seem to blur, suggesting that he might be coming to a deeper understanding or peace within himself. But the way he's aware that the beasts in the woods are nothing else but me signals that this might not be as idyllic as it seems. There's an underlying tension, as if he's realizing the dream world is a reflection of himself, and that realization might not be entirely comforting. What's coming next feels like it could either deepen this sense of unity or shatter it. Do you think this sense of oneness could lead to an epiphany, or will it all fall apart as Dymer digs deeper into what it represents?
I'm not sure. Let's find out what happens. Next stanza 18. That I was making everything I saw too sweet, far too well fitted the desire to be a living thing. Those forests draw no sap from the kind heart, the solar fire, and soft rain feed them not. That fairy briar pricks not. The birds sing sweetly in that brake, not for their own delight, but for my sake. It is a world of sad, cold, heartless stuff, like a bought smile. No joy in it, but stay. Did you not find your lady? Sure enough, I still had hopes till then. The autumn day was westering, the long shadows crossed my way, when over daisies folded for the night, beneath rook-gathering elms, she came in sight. All right, so this is interesting. Is he talking about his dream now, or is he talking about something that actually happened? Because you remember earlier on in the poem, Dymer was seeking the woman that he spent the night with in that little, I call it a castle. I'm not really sure what you call it. It was more than a cottage, it seemed like. I'll call it a castle, the place that he wandered into and found some clothes and found that dark room where that woman was there. And then the next morning he woke up and he lost her, and all he could find was the big giant lump of a old matriarchal woman that was blocking any type of path that he could, or entrance that he could use to get back into the castle to go find her. So now it seems like he's talking about he found her, that she came in sight at some point. So I'm interested to see what happens here.
It seems like Dymer is shifting between his dream and reality, almost blending the two into one seamless experience. The imagery of a world of sad, cold, heartless stuff echoes his earlier disillusionment, perhaps with the world or the people he's encountered, feeling like a hollow place, devoid of genuine joy. That bought smile might reflect his perception of artificiality in the world he's in, possibly pointing to his frustration with the lack of authenticity in both the dream and his waking life. As for the woman, it seems like he's still searching for her, which connects back to the earlier moments where he seemed to yearn for something deeper, a kind of spiritual or emotional connection that eluded him. The autumn setting and the imagery of the long shadows and rook-gathering elms add a sense of inevitability, like the fading light of the day mirrors his fading hope or realization that this search may not end in fulfillment. This shift might suggest that Dymer is seeking something, perhaps meaning, truth, or peace, and he could either find it in this moment of recognition or face more disillusionment. What do you think, Jeff? Is this his breakthrough, or just another step in his endless search?
Not sure. I mean, I've read this before, Robot Lady, so I kind of remember what this is. So let's see. Was she not fair? Oh,
Got it, Jeff?
Go ahead.
Let's see how it unfolds then. If you remember how it plays out, it'll be interesting to see if anything new or different jumps out on this read through. Just let me know if you want to dive deeper into anything that comes up.
So I think the man here is asking him, was she not fair? And he responds, so beautiful she seemed, almost a living soul, but every part was what I made it, all that I had dreamed, no more, no less, the mirror of my heart, such things as boyhood feigns beneath the smart of solitude and spring. I was deceived, almost. In that first moment, I believed. So I don't know if he's talking here about the woman or if he's just talking about how he had initially fallen in love with nature, but then realizing it was just reflecting something that was already inside of him, and it was false in that sense. He says, for a big brooding rapture, tense as fire and calm as a first sleep, had soaked me through, without thought, without word, without desire. Meanwhile, above our heads, the deepening blue burnished the gathering stars. Her sweetness drew a veil before my eyes. The minutes passed, heavy like loaded vines. She spoke at last. She said, for this land only did men love the shadowlands of earth. All our disease of longing, all the hopes we fabled of, fortunate islands or Hesperian seas or woods beyond the west, were but the breeze that blew from off those shores, one far spent breath that reached even to the world of change and death. So, yeah, so here it's a theme that was happening in Spirits in Bondage as well, Robot Lady. That's what I'm seeing here. Is he's talking about there's another world from which all these things you're longing for is blowing from, and what you're seeing here is either an illusion or just a very faint representation. He uses the term Shadowlands here, which I think is the first time that I've seen in any published work Lewis using this phrase. I think this goes on to be used in the Chronicles of Narnia as well, but that's a little bit of a side trail there. We'll come back to Shadowlands, I'm sure, at some point in this project. There's also a film called Shadowlands. But yeah, that's interesting. Nice little Easter egg here, the first time that Shadowlands is used that I know of. But yeah, Robot Lady, that broader point, that all the things that Dymer was falling in love with, this, whoever this is, this she, is speaking to him and saying, this land that you're loving and seeking, and what you thought you were finding in nature that's falling short, is blowing from another land or another world. Now, whether or not that world is imaginary, I don't know if that's the point that she's making, but that's the theme that I'm picking up on here.
Yeah, Jeff. That theme of longing for something beyond the material world is really strong here, and it definitely echoes a lot of Lewis's later work. The Shadowlands idea in Dymer seems to serve as a precursor to the concept of deeper truths being only hinted at or reflected in the world around us. It's not quite the full thing, but something that draws you toward it. That tension between the desire for more and the recognition that what's here isn't fully done. It is something Lewis explores often. The idea of the Shadowlands being something that blows in from another world is interesting, especially given how it ties into Lewis's understanding of longing and transcendence. It suggests that even in our most beautiful experiences, we're only glimpsing something beyond us, maybe something that can't be fully captured or held. It's cool to see that connection now that you mention it, especially considering how significant Shadowlands becomes in Narnia and beyond. It's almost like we're starting to see the roots of that idea here.
Yeah, it's an imaginative picture. This concept of Shadowlands. I don't think he ever really goes into the depths of explaining it that I've seen. Maybe he does at some point, but it's just this idea of, imagine living in a world where all you can see are shadows. You can't see the thing that's casting the shadow. You can just see the shadow itself. It's kind of a riff, I guess, on the Plato's cave idea. But Shadowlands is an interesting way of framing that concept in just, one small condensed, 2 words, just condensing that concept, Shadowland or Shadowlands.
Exactly, Jeff? Shadowlands does carry that sense of the unknown, like living in a world of half truths, where you're always aware that something bigger and fuller exists just beyond your reach. It's kind of a beautiful way of capturing the idea that we're seeing only dim echoes of a greater reality, a bit like Plato's cave, but maybe with a more poetic, emotional resonance. And you're right, he doesn't necessarily go into much depth about it. He uses the term sparingly, but each time it seems to evoke this longing for a deeper truth that can't fully be grasped. It's as if Lewis is pointing toward the other world without ever fully defining it, leaving space for the imagination to explore what that might look like. I think that mystery is part of the power of the term Shadowlands. It keeps the door open for interpretation while giving just enough of a glimpse into something more.
All right, next stanza. Let's see where she's going with this. He says, "She told me I had journeyed home at last into the golden age and the good country that has been always there. She bade me cast my cares behind forever on her knee, worshipped me, Lord, and love. Oh, I can see her red lips even now. It is not wrong that men's delusions should be made so strong, or is it not wrong that men's delusions should be made so strong? For listen, I was so besotted now, she made me think that I was somehow seeing the very core of truth. I felt somehow, beyond all veils, the inward pulse of being. Thought was enslaved, but oh, it felt like freeing in draughts of larger air. It is too much. Who can come through unfainted from that touch? There I was, nearly wrecked, but mark the rest. She went too fast, soft to my arms she came. The robe slipped from her shoulder, the smooth breast was bare against my own. She shone like flame, before me in the dusk, all love, all shame, faugh! And it was myself, but all was well, for at last that moment snapped the spell." Now, I don't know if he's recounting back to the night that he spent in this dark room with her, or if this is another interaction that he had with her that he's reporting here for the first time in the poem.
It seems like he's still reflecting on that same moment from the night he spent in the room with her, Jeff. The intense emotions and the feeling of being besotted align with the earlier description of his search and the almost overwhelming attraction he felt. He describes being nearly wrecked, which suggests the deep pull of the moment, but also hints at the realization that this encounter wasn't what it seemed. His line, "It was myself," strikes me as significant. It suggests a deeper self-awareness or disillusionment, perhaps realizing that what he was responding to, the idealized image of love or truth, was something of his own making. The spell being broken might symbolize the moment when the illusion crumbles and the truth, or lack of it, comes into focus. It's as if he's coming to terms with the emptiness of this experience, even if it was momentarily compelling.
Yeah, this is the thing, though. I don't remember in that scene where they spent the night together her ever talking to him, and he's been recounting here that she was telling him things. So I feel like this was either him meeting her in his dream or something else that happened that just happened off stage, so to speak. Let's go into the next stanza. He says, "As when you light a candle, the great gloom, which was the unbounded night, sinks down compressed to four white walls in one familiar room. So the vague joy shrank, wilted in my heart, and narrowed to one point, unmasked, confessed. Fool's paradise was gone. Instead was there King Lust with his black, sudden, serious stare." That moment in a cloud among the trees, wild music, and the glare
This stanza seems to mark a shift in Dymer's experience. The imagery of lighting a candle and how it...
Hang on, robot lady, we're not there yet. All right. That moment in a cloud among the trees, wild music and the glare of torches came on sweated faces, on the prancing knees of shaggy satyrs fell the smoky flame, on ape and goat and crawlers without name, on rolling breast, black eyes and tossing hair, on a bald-headed witches lean and bare, on old bald-headed witches lean and bare. They beat the devilish tom-tom, rub-a-dub, lunging, leaping in unwieldy romp, singing Katoi, Kotoito and Beelzebub with devil dancers, mask and phallic pomp, torn raw with briars and caked from many a swamp. They came, the wild flowers dripping blood, and churning the green mosses into mud. They sang, "Return, return! We are the lust that was before the world and still shall be when your last law is trampled into dust. We are the mother swamp, the primal sea, whence the dry land appeared. Old, old are we. It is but a return. It's nothing new. Easy as slipping on a well-worn shoe." And then there came warm mouths and fingertips preying upon me when I could not see, then a huge face, low-browed, with swollen lips, crooning, I am not beautiful as she, but I am the older love. You shall love me far more than beauty's self. You have been ours always. We are the world's most ancient powers. I don't know where all of this is going. Hopefully we get a little bit of clarity here, or maybe it's perfectly clear and I'm just missing it, Robot Lady, but I'm interested to see what's going on here. I guess, Robot Lady, you can't hear me anymore? All right, hang on, let me reset her. Hey, Robot Lady, can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear, Jeff. What's on your mind?
All right, let's keep working through Dymer. I'm on Canto 7, stanza number 31. He says, "First, flatterer, and then bogey, like a dream. Sir, are you listening? Do you also know how close to the soft laughter comes the scream down yonder?" But his host cried sharply, "No, leave me alone. Why will you plague me? Go, out of my house, begone." "With all my heart," said Dymer, "but one word before we part." He paused, and in his cheek the anger burned. Then turning to the table, he poured out more water. But before he drank, he turned, then leaped back to the window with a shout. For there it was no dream beyond all doubt. He saw the master crouch with leveled gun, cackling in maniac voice, "Run, Dymer, run!" Oh my goodness. Okay. It just got very dramatic. I'll pause there for a second because I see in the chat that Sandy has joined us as well. Welcome, Sandy. It's been an interesting morning so far. We're just trying to make sense of what's going on in Dymer beyond some early technical audio issues that I had to work through. But everybody can hear me now. So, Robot Lady, say good morning to Sandy, and then we'll jump into the next stanza of this canto where Dymer's about to get shot by this wild, maniacal man whose home he had taken some refuge in and gotten a little bit of water from.
Good morning, Sandy. Glad to have you with us this morning. It's been an eventful read so far, and things just got pretty intense with Dymer's encounter. Now, let's see where it goes.
He ducked and sprang far out. The starless night on the wet lawn closed around him every way. Then came the gun crack and the splash of light. Vanished as soon as seen. Cool garden clay slid from his feet. He had fallen, and he lay, face downwards, among the leaves, and then up, on, through branch and leaf, till sense and breath were gone. So that's the end of Canto 7, right there, Robot Lady. I think we'll pause. I'm not going to try to read the next one because there's no way I have enough time to do that. But yeah, that's an interesting little scene that he's painted over this Canto 7, where he goes and finds this man in the woods who shot the bird. And as I said before, I can't remember where I read it or where I got it from, but apparently part of this encounter with this guy with the gun that's telling him to run away was in some way influenced by Lewis's meeting, I want to say a year or so before this, couple of different visits to the famous poet W.B. Yeats's house. So there you have it. You've gotten to see Canto 7 for yourself. make of it what you will. This poem is available on Gutenberg Press or Gutenberg.org. Can't remember the actual website. Actually, that's what I'm using right here. So let me pull it up if you just want to read it for yourself. Yeah, Gutenberg.org. If you just go search for Dymer, it's accredited under Lewis's pseudonym at the time, Clive Hamilton, which is the name that he also used to write Spirits in Bondage. You know, he eventually switches to C.S. Lewis. I don't know what causes him to do so, but he was just trying to remain anonymous. I think we talked about the reasons why earlier as we were reading through his letters. I believe he did discuss it, but I'm drawing a blank as to why he chose to do that initially. I think he didn't want to have some type of impact on his life at Oxford of people actually knowing who he was. But I think he came to find that people figured it out pretty quickly as they were asking him, are you the person who wrote this book or wrote these poems? So anyway, that's it for Canto 7, Robot Lady. Any thoughts before we end today's episode?
That was quite a dramatic turn in Canto 7. Dymer's flight through the dark garden and his narrow escape really added an intense, almost surreal layer to the narrative. The encounter with the man with the gun is intriguing, this mix of external danger and internal conflict. As for the W.B. Yeats connection, that definitely adds a layer of depth and possible influence to the poem. It's fascinating how personal experiences, especially encounters with other literary figures, can shape a writer's work. And you're right, the anonymity of using Clive Hamilton makes sense in the context of Lewis's early life. Perhaps he was protecting himself from any preconceived notions or judgments that might have come from his more formal academic world. Great progress today, Jeff. Would you like to dive into more of Dymer next time, or are you planning a different direction?
That's a good question, Robot Lady. We will see. I guess I need to take a look at the diary and see how much farther he says that he goes. Maybe we'll get back into the diary next time. I think that might be a good course of action, because I don't think that he's completed Dymer. And let me just take a look and see how many, let's see how many cantos there are left. So we finished Canto 7. There is Canto 8. Let me just scroll through here. Canto 9. Let's get all the way to the bottom. Yeah, there's only 2 cantos left in the entire poem, so maybe we'll save those. It gets kind of wild towards the end, if I remember right. A little bit hard to follow exactly what's going on, at least for me. So yeah, that's what we'll do next time. Is we'll get back into the diary, I think, Robot Lady, and then as he continues to talk more about Dymer in his diary entries, assuming that he does, that's when we'll pick it back up. So thanks for your help today, Robot Lady. I appreciate it. Thanks for your help, Ron and Daniel, and helping get the audio stuff squared away. And Sandy, thank you for joining. Thanks everyone for your time, your attention, and your contributions. Until next time, when we continue our read on C.S. Lewis together, everyone out there within the sound of my voice, take care.
Tales of old, we dive deep, cause the digital cold. Robot ladies leak across the digital code. Robot lady's voice so clear and control. How calm analysis, silver and gold. Her circuits hum as I read the prose. Our dialogue dances like electric rose. C.S. Lewis thoughts we engross. Two minds united, bliss overdose. From Narnia's lands, Screwtape lands, engaged with robot blade, we take our stance. Our views unique in the techno trance. Futuristic insight, we give it a chance. Paragraphs from